Hey everyone, my name is Chris, and today I am going to give you the secret strategy that helped my CV land interviews at almost every big tech giant and MBB firm you can imagine, from Google and Meta to Boston Consulting Group. I transitioned from being a civil engineer working on construction sites to landing a strategy and operations role at Google. I've been on both sides of the table, and I'm telling you, the difference between a rejection and a six-figure offer isn't just your hard work, it is how you architect your story on paper. Whether you're a recent grad looking for your first big break, someone just switching firms to climb the ladder, or even someone completely changing industries like I did, you can use this video as your definitive starting point for developing a high-impact CV. If you want the exact templates that I recommend, the ones designed for tech and consulting, please drop a comment below and ask for them, and I will share them with you directly. Let's dive into the first pillar of a world-class CV, the format. Most people treat their resume like a scrapbooking project. They add colors, photos, and those little progress bars to show they are 80% good at Python. Stop doing that. A CV for a top-tier firm is a technical specification sheet. It needs to be one single page. In high-stakes recruiting, brevity is a sign of seniority. If you can't summarize your impact on one page, it tells a recruiter you don't know how to prioritize information. And please, never use a full stop at the end of your bullet points. When it comes to the layout, you need to think about hierarchy. Use a clean standard font with zero fluff. You should use bolding for your job titles and company names so a recruiter can scan the where and the what in under 6 seconds. You also need a balanced amount of white space. If a CV looks like a dense wall of text, the recruiter's brain will subconsciously skip over the best achievements. The goal is to make their eyes glide directly to the results. Now let's talk about the education section. For an MBA or a recent grad, this usually stays at the top. If you are an experienced professional, you move this to the bottom. But don't just list a school and a degree. This section is your first chance to prove you are in the top tier of your peer group. You should list your GPA if it is high, and any major test scores. Mention honors like being on the dean's list, winning scholarships, or receiving awards for entrepreneurship or academic excellence. Leadership in education is just as important. If you held roles like being a club president or a teaching assistant, you must include them. This tells the recruiter that you weren't just a student. You were a leader within the institution who managed people and projects while maintaining your grades. It shows drive and the ability to multitask under pressure. Now let's talk about the body of the CV, the experience section. This is where you have to choose the right strategy for your career path. If you have moved between different companies, moving from an engineering firm to a tech startup and then into a corporate role, you use the reverse chronological format. This shows a clear upward trajectory and proves you can adapt to different corporate cultures. However, many people stay at the same company for 5 or 10 years. If that's you, do not just list 15 bullet points under one heading. That makes a career look stagnant. Instead, consider a functional layout. Within that one company, you break your time into subheaders based on your impact areas, like strategic planning, cross-functional leadership, or process optimization. This forces the recruiter to see you as a multi-dimensional leader who has mastered different parts of the business, even if your job title stayed the same. This leads us to the most important part of this entire strategy, the STAR method for bullet points. A bullet point is not a list of tasks. It is a mini story of a victory. Every single bullet on a CV must follow the STAR logic: situation, task, action, and result. You must start with a strong action verb: designed, optimized, structured, or led. Then you provide the context. But here's the golden rule. You must quantify the impact. If there is no number, the bullet point does not exist. To understand the difference, think about a weak bullet point. A weak one says, helped manage a project and improve the workflow. A strong top-tier bullet says, redesigned project management workflow by implementing automated tracking tools. Reduced delivery time by 20% and saved the department $50,000 annually. The second version has a clear action, a specific method, and a measurable result. You don't just say you saved money. You say you captured $2 million in operational efficiencies. You don't just say you worked with data. You say you analyzed a $100 million portfolio to inform executive decision-making. Even smaller wins matter, like reducing manual reporting by 10 hours per week. These numbers give recruiters a mental model of your seniority. If the goal is to work at Google or Meta, you have to prove you can handle problems at their scale. The action part of the bullet is where you show how you think. Instead of just saying you managed a team, you should say you led a cross-functional team of 20 to deliver a high-priority project within a 45-day window by implementing an agile sprint framework and establishing a centralized data dashboard for real-time tracking. Or say you developed a predictive model to optimize resource allocation. This shows the recruiter that you are a system thinker who uses data and logic to drive decisions. That is the secret sauce that tech companies and consulting firms are looking for. Another key is the so what factor. For every bullet point written, ask, so what? If the answer is just, I did my job, it shouldn't be there. Every bullet should prove a skill that is transferable. If you centralized a database, the so what is that it enabled real-time reporting for 5 different departments, reducing errors by 15%. You are showing the company that you didn't just do a task, you created business value that lasts. Finally, we have the additional section. Most people think this is filler. They are wrong. This is where you stop being a piece of paper and start being a human being. In a global firm, listing languages, whether fluent in Arabic or native in Spanish, is a tool that shows an ability to operate across borders. But don't ignore the interests. Don't just put reading or travel. Everyone likes reading and travel. It's too general. You need to put something specific that can start a real conversation. If you are part of a specific community, like a dance group or a sports league, or if you led a significant volunteer initiative, list it. I'll give you a personal example of why this matters. When I was in the final round of my interview with BCG, I had included that I collect single malt whiskey. We spent almost the first 5 minutes of that high-stakes interview just talking about which whiskey the interviewer loved to drink. He was genuinely interested in the topic, and it completely changed the energy of the room before we even got into the case. From my experience, once you get past the recruiters and meet the actual interviewers, the people you will be working with, they are often skimming your CV for the first time just 5 minutes before you walk in. They look quickly at the companies and positions to check your credentials, but they almost always read the additional section fully. They want to understand who they are interviewing personally, and if you are someone they actually want to spend 40 or 50 hours a week with. This section is often what makes a candidate memorable at the end of a long day of interviews and builds that immediate rapport that gets you the offer. To wrap this up, before you hit send on any application, you need to conduct a final audit. Let's summarize the 5 key pillars we covered today to ensure your CV is ready for a firm like Google or BCG. First, the format. Keep it to one single page. Use a clean, standard font with a clear hierarchy of bolding for titles and companies. And here is a critical detail. There should be no full stops at the end of your bullet points. These are high-impact statements, not full sentences. Leaving off the periods keeps the document looking sharp and shows you understand the professional standards of top-tier firms where consistency is everything. Second, education. If you're a student or recent MBA, keep this at the top. Otherwise, move it to the bottom. Don't just list the degree, include your GPA, test scores, honors, and leadership roles to prove you are in the top tier of your peer group. Third, the experience structure. Choose the right layout for your story. Use a reverse chronological format if you've moved between companies to show growth, or a functional layout if you've been at one company for a long time to show you've mastered different dimensions of the business. Fourth, the star bullets and the how. Every bullet must be a victory story with a quantified result. But remember, the action part must show your methodology. Don't just say what you did, explain that you did it by implementing an agile framework or by building a scenario-driven forecasting tool. This proves your results are repeatable. Fifth, the additional section. Use this to stop being a piece of paper and start being a human. Be specific with your interests to build rapport. Remember, your interviewer, not the recruiter, is usually skimming your CV 5 minutes before you meet. They will check your companies quickly, but they will read this personal section fully to see if you're someone they want to work with for 50 hours a week. Finally, the 10-second test. Save your CV as a PDF, never a Word document, and give it to a friend for exactly 10 seconds. If they can't identify your 3 biggest wins with numbers in that time, go back and rewrite it. This is the corporate game. It's not just about applying for a job, it's about controlling how your value is perceived in the room. By following this structure, you aren't just another candidate, you are the solution to their problem. If you found this masterclass helpful, please subscribe and hit that notification button so you don't miss my next deep dive into the corporate game. Give this video a like if it gave you some clarity today. Don't forget to drop a comment if you want those templates, and let me know what other secrets you want me to break down next. Thanks for watching. and I'll see you in the next one.